Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Salt Talk with Jermine Alberty, where faith meets mental wellness, purpose meets practice, and transformation begins one conversation at a time. I'm your host, Jermine Alberty, and have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking, I should have known better? Or maybe you've ignored warning signs because you wanted to believe the best in someone. We've all been there. One of the greatest skills we could develop isn't simply choosing the right opportunities, but it's learning how to discern the right people. It's really important that you grab hold to this concept that not everyone deserves unrestricted access to your life. Today, I want to introduce a simple framework that can help you evaluate relationships, partnerships, friendships, ministry connections, dating relationships, and even business opportunities. It's called the people traffic light. That's right, the people traffic light. Green, yellow, red. The goal isn't to judge people. The goal is to steward your peace and make sure that the people you allow in your life are folks you can go with. So let's dive into it. This is Jermine Alberty, and you're listening to the Salt Talk. You know, life doesn't come with warning labels, but people often come with warning signals. And I believe that there's a certain discernment and wisdom and observation that we have within us, but sometimes we don't yield to that discernment or wisdom or what we see. And it's not that we become suspicious of everyone, but it's also important that we become wise about who we allow to have access to us. Yes, you can love everyone and you should love everyone. But here's the thing about it. When it comes to the T word of trust, trust isn't something that you can just divvy out equally to everyone. And there's a distinction, a very important distinction between love and trust. Those of us in the Christian tradition are told to love everybody. Interesting enough, though, you're not told to trust everybody. Listen, we're called to love people, we're called to serve people, but that doesn't mean that we give unlimited access to everybody. We need to make sure that we create healthy boundaries. And sometimes holiness looks like healthy boundaries. I'm convinced that we need to put a W in front of holiness and that we look at holiness because God is concerned about your whole person, not just your spiritual well-being, but your physical well-being, your emotional well-being. God is concerned about all of you. And so we have to make sure as we seek to be holy, that we do that with healthy boundaries. So let's get into this framework. The green light. Green light people help you become more like the person God created you to be. When you're around them, you feel safe, you feel challenged, you feel respected. You don't have to perform. You don't have to pretend. You can be truly who you are. Because green light people, they celebrate your success without competing with your success. They tell you the truth, not with a goal to try to control you. They apologize when they're wrong. They want to grow with you. They keep their word. And let me be, so very clear about this. I want green light people in my world because they bring peace instead of confusion. So I want you to ask yourself 4 questions as you begin to think about the people in your world. You ready? Question number 1. Do I become healthy around this person? Question number 2. Do they respect my boundaries? Question number 3. Can we disagree without becoming enemies? And question number 4. Do they celebrate my growth? If the answer is yes to those questions, proceed. Now, let me be really, really clear. The proceeding is not because the person is perfect, but it's because they're trustworthy. Well, let's proceed to a scripture that I think really can speak to this. Scriptures over in Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. I like that text because what it says to us is ring light people sharpen you. They don't dull you. They don't wear you down. They make you better. So I'm not looking for folks to perfect me. I'm looking for people to help me to be a better Jermaine. Look for folks to help you be a better you. Because people who are not green light people don't make you a better you. They can make you a bitter you. And so let's proceed to the yellow light in this framework. And the yellow light simply tells us that through discernment and through wisdom, that maybe we ought to proceed with caution. You see, yellow doesn't mean that you stop, but yellow does mean that you pay attention, that you observe, that you slow down, and that you don't ignore what you're seeing. You see, some of us, we accelerate when God is telling us to pause. Yellow light people may have the best intentions. They may have good intentions. But what goes against every good intention, every best intention, is when that person cannot be consistent. They're inconsistent in their behavior, and that inconsistency in their behavior breeds sometimes anxiety. It can even breed depression. So it's really important that we are aware of how that person is making us feel. Now, let me just be clear. Sometimes that inconsistent behavior could be for many reasons. It could be because they're healing, or maybe they're immature. They may be even overwhelmed. So we're not judging individuals who are in that yellow light framework because they may even be carrying trauma. So it doesn't make them bad people, but it simply says to us that we don't want to move faster than trust can grow. Let me be clear when I talk about trust, because trust isn't built with promises. I promise, I promise, I promise. No, trust is built with patterns. So I have some yellow light questions, and this right here is a little bit more detail because instead of 4 questions here, I have 5 questions. And so the 5 questions I have are: number 1, are words matching action? Number 2, is accountability increasing? Number 3, are they taking responsibility? And oh my goodness, that is so important. They're not blaming you, they're not blaming someone else. No, they take responsibility for their actions. Uh, Number 4, do they only show up when they need something? And number 5, do they consistently create drama? I think that people's drama comes from their trauma. And some people have just lived such traumatic lives of chaos that they don't know how to be peacemakers or keepers of peace. They just bring drama and confusion to almost everything they do. When you know those kind of people, that yellow light is telling you to watch, to pray, to observe, to take your time. Because let me be really, really clear. Again, time reveals character. Let me give you a psychological insight also. Research consistently shows that past behavior is one of the strongest predictors of future behavior. People can absolutely change, but lasting change is demonstrated through consistent patterns, not isolated moments. I'm a man of grace, and grace believes change is possible. But wisdom says, wait to see it. All right, listen. We have talked about the green light. We've talked about the yellow light. Well, of course, let's talk about the red light. Recapping. The green light is proceed. The yellow light is proceed with caution. The red light is the hardest one sometimes, because the hard decision sometimes is to not proceed at all. It's the hardest one because the red light often tells us, do not proceed at all. Let me tell you why that's hard. It's hard because love often wants another chance. Hope wants another explanation. Compassion wants another opportunity. But discernment sometimes says, enough is enough. Because red light people often repeatedly violate your boundaries, manipulate the situation, try to gaslight you, will lie to you, will exploit you, create chaos in your life, refuse accountability, use guilt as a weapon, and everything becomes someone else's fault. Every relationship leaves destruction behind them. Red doesn't necessarily mean that you hate them, but red means that you don't give them unrestricted access. You can forgive someone without giving them another opportunity to hurt you. Forgiveness is spiritual. Trust is relational. I love the Proverbs because what Proverbs simply are just words of wisdom. And in Proverbs 4:23, it says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Guarding our hearts is not about building walls. It's about installing healthy gates. You know, every podcast has a SALT connection. So let's look at it through the SALT lens. S stands for serve. And so as we are in relationship with others, we want to serve with compassion, but we don't want to serve with self-neglect. Let me be really clear again. Serving someone doesn't mean allowing abuse. And I think this becomes a problem in faith communities is that we want to love everybody, we want to serve everybody, but then we accept abuse as somehow being godly. It is not okay for anybody to abuse you physically, emotionally, spiritually. No, not at all. So we're saying no to abuse and no to misuse. The A in the SALT model stands for affirm. And we're affirming dignity, the dignity of the individual. Yes, we're doing that. That's a solid D, dignity. But we are not affirming dysfunction. I can recognize your value without enabling harmful behavior. I love you, I value you, but I will not allow you to harm me or harm others around me. And that needs to be our declaration when we're trying to affirm those who we want to be in relationship with. The L in the model, stands for love. Biblical love is thrown around a lot, but biblical love includes truth. And love doesn't ignore reality, and love isn't blind. Love sees clearly and chooses wisely. My prayer is, God, give me 20/20 vision on this person. Help me to choose wisely who I allow in my life. My friends, I hope you do the same. Last but not least, the T in the SALT framework is transform. Transformation begins with discernment. And sometimes God transforms relationships. Sometimes God transforms you through relationships. And sometimes God transforms your life by removing relationships. Every transformation isn't about adding or about addition. Sometimes transformation requires subtraction. Well, as we wrap up this episode of the SALT Talk, I want to do a little personal reflection here. And here's a question. Who in your life currently fits each color? The red, the yellow, the cream. Think about your inner circle. Who consistently brings peace? Who's showing potential but still needs observation? Who continually demonstrates behavior that tells you to stop giving unlimited access? And here's an even harder question. Which color would other people assign to you? Would your family call you green? Would your coworkers call you yellow? Or would your closest friends quietly whisper red? Discernment starts in the mirror. So here's some practical takeaways. This week, I want you to remember 3 simple statements. Green, trust grows through consistency. Yellow, slow down and observe. And red, boundaries are acts of wisdom, not acts of hate. As we close, not everyone's assigned the same level of access to your life. That's not rejection. That's stewardship. God never asked you to carry a relationship. God asks you to just walk in wisdom. Sometimes the holiest thing you can say is not yet. Sometimes it's let's keep building trust. And sometimes it is simply no. Because every no to unhealthy relationships creates room for healthier ones. Well, my friends, I want to thank you for joining me for another episode of the SALT Talk with Jermine Alberty. And if today's conversation encouraged you, share it with someone who needs help navigating relationships with wisdom instead of guilt. Remember, serve with compassion, affirm with authenticity, love with courage, transform through wisdom. And until next time, stay salty. This is Jermine Alberty, and you've been listening to The Salt Talk.